Alright, so we're going to go through the boxes for Breval, the Sonata in C major first movement, and book 4 here. So the first box is just the first two measures with these chords. Okay. So really the only thing to keep in mind is we want to make sure we're doing bottom 2, top 2. Okay. So before we play the chord, the left hand needs to be set, and then we're going to do bottom 2, top 2. So in the first chord, it's G and D string to D and A string. We want to break the chord around the bounce point, okay, which for me is about here, okay. So, okay, that's the easiest point to break the chord. And then we want to make sure that we've got really good tone the whole way through. So we've got to set the bow first, right? We should be able to do our jiggle zooms. Okay, so for our 3-note chords, we're going to be playing the middle note in both ends of the chord. For the last chord here, you'll be on open strings on the C and G, and then go back over, okay? So I would start just getting comfortable with shifting back and forth. And then once you're comfortable with that, try and get it more da-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. And I think of it more as like if you break it into 8th notes, I kind of think of the bottom as like an 8th note worth, maybe a tiny bit more. Okay, so you end up on the top of the chord for a little bit longer. Okay. Then our next box is measure 6, and it's just going to be 2 to 3 turns, and it's 4 to 2 on the trill, and then you just do the 2. So I would start with to make sure our bow stays nice and smooth. But yeah, it's really only like 3 turns, so don't worry about how fast it is at the beginning. Just make sure we're doing it with our fingers and not like a vibrato. Right, make sure it's fingers. Okay, to start. And then as you go getting faster, it'll get easier. Next one's similar, so we'll do the pickup to 19. And this is just going to be 2 turns since it's pretty quick. It's also a 2 to 4 trill. The next one is pick up into 21. Okay, so it's a hook bow here. And the fingering is open 1, shift to 1, extended 2, 4. Let's see. Next one is 26. Okay, so that whole section, 26 through 28, we want to make sure we're really scrubby, connected in the string, and that should be around the bounce point to middle area. And then we have a little mini box inside of that box, which is just measure 27. So we're going to really spin bow on the down, on the down bows. Right, the B and the D. Okay. Next box we have is measure 29. We want to make sure that we're really clean. So I would probably start plucking this, since it's kind of like acrobatic for your left hand. Okay, and then after that I would get used to hopping back and forth with just your bow. So nice short notes, and make sure we're not clipping the D string as we cross. Okay, so then it turns into right. So nice and clear, making sure each one is set left and right hand before we play. Let's see, next box is measure 50. So this, students tend to want to play this like this. Okay, we want to make sure that we're really putting emphasis on the accented notes. So it's actually ba-dum, 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 da-dum. Okay, so it's okay, so it's just going to go into the very first note of 51. So you're going to practice that shift as well. Okay. And then the next box is actually right there. So we're going to start the next box on that same A. So downbeat of 51. Okay, so you're going to go through essentially the end of that line. So 50, 51, 52, and almost everything but the last note of 53. Okay, so it's so we want to make sure the hooks are really clear. So we got to make sure our bow's set for those. And then just that we do that replacement shift on the two E's at 51. Okay. All right, moving on to 56 is our next box. So 56 and 57. So it's just this. Okay. So we have the 3 hook bows, and then we also have the mordant, which is a 1-2-1. Right, so it's not just not this, but rather. Okay. So 1, make sure we get that mordant in. 2nd, make sure we're really clear on our with that 1 extended 2, 4, E, F sharp, G sharp. Okay, moving on to measure 64. We have these 2 accents, so it's ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da. It's kind of how we want it to come out. Let's see. So it's a down bow. And it's just to the opening, so just that measure. And really bring out those accents. And then that goes through. Okay, so the next box is at, so it's pick up into 89. So right here. Okay, there are 2 parts of this. So we have to make sure our left hand is ready. So we got to get comfortable getting back in and out of a block, right? Because we're going to have, then we block these 2s, and then out of it, and then back into it. The same thing. And then your bow is changing strings a lot. So we got to make sure our bow is on the next string and set before we're moving, because if we're not set before we start moving, we get this. Right? Because I'm not set on the next string before I move, so I don't have. Okay, so make sure that's really clear. The next box starts right after it, so measure 93. And ends on that high G at 96. Okay, so make sure we get, and it's a double up. Okay, and then we shift. It's just first position until the printed 1 at measure 95, and then it's 1, 2, 4 in 4th position. Okay. The next box is measure 98. That much, okay? It's not super hard, it's just a little faster. So we want space here. And this is forte to piano. Okay. And then the next box, which is actually our last box here, is just 101 through the downbeat of 103. So it's, you're not going to have a reference, so don't find this note before. If you want, you can kind of get into it. Okay. But it's 2 full bows on the trill, and it's a 2 to 4 trill. And then the grace notes are an extended 1. So it's extended 1 to a 2. To make sure we have that nice low C natural. If I don't do the extension, it sounds like this. And that is obviously wrong. Okay. So yeah, nice low C natural. And same thing with this trill. Make sure it's not like a vibrato type trill. Make sure it's with the fingers. Okay. Anyway, those are the boxes for Breval. Let me know if you have any questions. Okay.